Spectrum User 12. I am Uyayanekan, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari reacts as Dangote aids others get Niger Republic's highest civilian awards. Vice President Osibajo says local arms production is key to tackling insecurity. Plus, China fires missiles over Taiwan as Beijing retaliates against Pelosi's visit. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news today is a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated two of his aides, Saraki Abba, Senior Special Assistant on Household and Domestic Matters, and Lawal Kazuri, the State Chief of Protocol, on being conferred with the highest civilian national honors of the Niger Republic. Buhari's congratulatory message was released in a statement by Garba Shehu, the Senior Special Assistant to the President in Media and Publicity. The president, who received the awardees when they brought him the certificates and medals of honor given to them, said he considered the honor to them as emblematic of the long-standing mutual friendship between the two nations and their peoples, and thanked President Mohamed Bazoum and Nigerians for the recognition. President Buhari also extended felicitations to Governor Badaru Abubakar of Jigawa State, Mohammed Matawali of Zamfara State, businessman Aliko Dangote, President of Dangote Group, and Abdul Salamed Rabiu, President of BUA Group, who were also conferred with Niger's national honors at the Independence Day ceremony. In another development, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has made a case for the local production of military hardware, especially armament. He argued that the move would keep the Nigerian military many steps ahead of non-state actors who have fueled the country's asymmetric warfare over the years. The Vice President also made a case for local weapons manufacture, saying it will ensure the development of Nigeria's military-industrial complex. According to a statement by his Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity, Laulu Akande, Osinbajo stated this after receiving a presentation on defense transformation and national security, strategic options for Nigeria of the future by the National Defense College Course 30 participants during a virtual interaction. Commending the course participants for their efforts in proposing innovations in the defense sector, Osinbajo emphasized the need for transparency in the management of resources meant for the acquisition of hardware for defense and security agencies. On behalf of the Course 30 participants, Colonel Ayatamu proposed, among other things, the restructuring of the Ministry of Defense to reflect contemporary challenges as well as contain emerging threats to defense and security. He also prayed for the speedy recovery of the Vice President, who is still recuperating, while thanking him for the opportunity to make the presentation. To ensure food sufficiency in the country, the federal government, through the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, has begun the construction of Agricultural Machinery and Equipment Development Institute in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony of the institute, the executive vice chairman of NASENI, Mohammed Haruna, said citing Ahmedi Nasarawa was part of the directives given to the agency by President Muhammadu Buhari to revolutionize farming and food processing using technology. He said NASENI had succeeded in the development of some relevant equipment and machines in the food value chain, from cultivation, planting, weeding, harvesting, post-harvest, and food preservation. Also speaking, the Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Gambari, who was represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Development Strategies, Abdullahi Omaki, assured that the present administration would continue to leverage on science and technology to drive agricultural development in the country. In the meantime, the federal government has begun the screening of 285 research and development proposals for the Nigeria ZESH Republic 20.5 million naira grants for Nigerian scientists and engineers. The proposals are in response to the government's call for submission of proposals through the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, and Government of ZESH Republic's allocation of 20.5 million naira as grants to Nigerian researchers. Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive NASENI, Professor Mohammed Haruna, made the revelation in Abuja at the assessment of the Delta 2 Project Committee members expected to make the final selection. He said the call for proposals, which commenced on May 18 and closed on July 17, 2022, had a breakdown of 71 applications from the agricultural sector, mining 22, technology for SMEs development was 181, while 11 multiple submissions were made, making it a total of 285. Away from that, the federal government has promised to include the security of schools in the 2023 budget. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made this known while speaking at the Safe Schools Summit organized by the Emergency Coordination Center in Abuja. She noted that consultations were underway with states, local governments, and critical stakeholders to identify the most transparent, effective, and accountable ways of mobilizing and deploying resources. Ahmed also disclosed that the National Financing Plan for the security and safety of schools across the country would be unveiled before the end of the third quarter of this year. She added that the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning had established a committee with members drawn from the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, including the Federal Ministry of Education, the military, and other security agencies for this purpose. We move to education now, where the Council of Students' Union Presidents, CSUP, has lamented that it is losing students to incessant killings from bandit attacks as a result of their prolonged stay at home due to the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU strike. The Students' Union President, SUG, Federal University of Technology, FUTMINA, Ishaka Yahaya, who spoke on behalf of all SUG presidents across tertiary institutions at a news conference in Abuja, said that the federal government and the ASU have nothing to lose amid the strike, adding that many students who were to be in school but resorted to doing other jobs were being kidnapped and killed in the process. Yahaya noted that the strike had increased the rate of drug abuses and other vices by the Nigerian students who under normal circumstances should be in schools, acquiring knowledge. He urged the government to look into the demands of ASU and attend to them so that they could return to school. On financial crimes, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and the Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, have met to ensure enhanced partnership to fight all forms of local or foreign involvement in economic and financial sabotage activities. EFCC Chairman Abu Farshid Bawa, who visited Comptroller General of Immigration, Issa Idris, at the NIS headquarters in Abuja, explained that his presence was to request deeper collaboration in the war against transnational crimes. In his remarks, Idris assured that the NIS would liaise with relevant agencies to protect and improve the Nigerian economy. He confirmed the installation of cutting-edge passenger clearance technological infrastructure that dictates wanted or suspicious persons at border crossing points. Idris reiterated the need to sustain the cordial relationship between the EFCC and NIS through regular interfaces and joint capacity building. In politics, the dust over the presidential primary of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the choice of Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate by its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has reportedly not settled. Recall that Atiku and Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike met on Wednesday in Abuja at the insistence of the party's Board of Trustees, BOT, led by Senator Walid Jibrin. Reports say Atiku boasted that PDP can win next year's election without many votes from Rivers State, noting that there was no cause for alarm if Wike did not want to partner with him. Atiku recalled that President Muhammadu Buhari, who did not win Rivers State, relied on votes from Lagos, Kano, and other strategic states to win the 2019 presidential polls. In the meantime, BOT members have consistently pleaded with Atiku to reconcile with the Rivers State governor. Back here, Senator Albert Basi Akpan Oba has officially emerged the governorship candidate of the Young Progressives Party, YPP, exactly 5 days after Pastor Nyenime Andy, the former candidate, announced his voluntary resignation. A release signed by the State Publicity Secretary of YPP Akanema noted that Oba, who was the sole aspirant in the fresh primary ordered by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), emerged after all the delegates from each local government filed out behind him. The primary, duly monitored by INEC, was in line with the 2022 Electoral Act, which stipulates that when a candidate voluntarily withdraws from an election, he must be substituted through a fresh primary within a specified time. At the end of the conduct of the primary, described as very peaceful, the National Secretary of YPP, Barrister Vinyeno Bemeyi, announced Oba as the winner of the contest and decorated him the party's regalia for candidates, including a certificate of return. In his acceptance speech, an elated Senator Akpan promised not to disappoint his family, teaming supporters, party, and the entire state as the YPP gubernatorial candidate. He pledged that he will be one of the best governors Akwa Ibom has ever had when he wins at the poll next year. Aside from INEC, the event was also witnessed by the national officers of YPP, leaders and members of Akwa Ibom campaign organization, Oba Structure, his family members, friends and associates from across party lines in the state.
On behalf of my national chairman and leadership of the State Working Committee, I officially receive all the decampees. I understand that everyone in this arena has officially declared for YPP. Those who are declared, say aye. Aye.
It was started all through the 10 federal town hall meetings that after Eke Senatorial District, it will be not only the turn of Uyo Senatorial District, it will be the turn of the Iberim Federal Constituency for justice and equity. And this is based on the fact that 18 federal constituencies have produced a governor. This is based on the fact that Uyo Senatorial Constituency have produced a governor. The only federal constituency that is yet to produce a governor in Uyo Senatorial District is Itu Ibrahima Federal Constituency. I have told God, I will fight the cause of my people. It was on the standpoint of justice that I stepped down in 2014. And I'm also running on the standpoint of justice that it is the turn of the Iberim Federal Constituency to produce a governor. I will fight your cause. I will fight your cause. And I will ask God to help me fight your cause. On my own, I can do nothing. But let it be said and let it be told that you had a senator who represented Uyo Senatorial District effectively. You had a senator who was not disappointed at Akwa Ibom. And I will never disappoint. You had a senator who took care of his people to the best of his ability and capacity. It will be taken
down to Africa, where it is the first time since Senegalese independence in 1960 that the ruling party's group loses its absolute majority in parliament. It will have to rely on other forces in parliament to pass legislation. Reports say the opposition had hoped the elections would impose cohabitation or divided government. on Seoul and curb any ambitions he may have for a third term. The main opposition coalition, Yewi, won 56 seats, while its ally Wallu Senegal won 24 seats. The Interior Ministry said the participation rate was 47%, as some 7 million Senegalese were eligible to vote in the election in order to choose between 8 coalitions. For the final results to be declared by the Constitutional Council, the competing coalitions will be given time to voice any concerns. Still in Africa, Raila Amolo Odinga, a veteran Kenyan political leader and one-time Prime Minister, has long cast himself as an anti-establishment firebrand, despite belonging to one of the country's top political dynasties. Reports say his decision to strike an alliance with his arch-rival President Uhuru Kenyatta and secure the ruling party's backing as he vies yet again for the top job in the August 9 elections, risks taking the shine of his brand. Few expected Odinga and Kenyatta to shake hands and draw a line under decades of vitriol in March 2018, known universally as the handshake. The pact stunned Odinga's colleagues and supporters, effectively leaving Kenya without an opposition. Recall that the Kenyatta and Odinga families have dominated Kenyan politics since the country won independence from Britain in 1963. Uhuru Kenyatta's father, Jomo, was the East African nation's first president, while his rival, Jaramogi Odinga, Raila's father, served as vice president.
The work of uniting the people of Kenya will continue. And that's why I'm telling the people who are running against us, Uhuru is the outgoing president of the Republic of Kenya. Leave him alone. Let him go and retire in peace. If you have a problem, face Raila Odinga and Matakarwa squarely. The work of united.
On the foreign scene, China said it fired missiles over the island of Taiwan for the first time, escalating tensions in the region as U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi arrived in Japan, whose leaders lodged a protest with Beijing after 5 projectiles landed near Japanese islands. Speaking in Tokyo, Pelosi, who accused China of trying to isolate Taiwan, pointing to the island's exclusion from international groups like the World Health Organization, added that her visit to Taiwan is about maintaining the status quo, not changing it. Pelosi met with Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida earlier today, with their attention focused on the Taiwan Strait, where China is staging air and sea drills to protest against the U.S. Speaker's visit to Taiwan. Reports say China has previously fired missiles into waters surrounding Taiwan, a democratic island of 24 million people that the Chinese Communist Party regards as its territory, despite having never controlled it, adding that missiles flying over the island marked a significant escalation. Meanwhile, a U.S. aircraft carrier will stay in the area around Taiwan for several more days to monitor the situation. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump's legal team is in direct communication with the Justice Department officials, the first sign of talks between the two sides as the criminal probe into January 6, 2021 accelerates. The Trump team's discussions are with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., which is in charge of the investigation, and its top January 6 prosecutor, Thomas Windham, with the talks revolving around whether Trump would be able to shield conversations he had while he was president from federal investigators. Reports say at this stage the conversations are focused mostly on whether any communications those witnesses from the Trump West Wing had with the former president can be kept from a federal criminal grand jury under Trump's claims of executive privilege. The People said the Justice Department has been anticipating a court fight with Trump over executive privilege. The issue has arisen as grand jury subpoenas have been issued to 2 former White House counsels, office officials, and to former Vice President Mike Pence, Chief Counsel and Chief of Staff. Still on the foreign scene, the U.S. has urged Moscow to accept a deal to free basketball player Brittany Griner, who has been sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison. The double Olympic winner was convicted of possessing and smuggling drugs after admitting to possessing cannabis oil. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said the U.S. offer was a serious proposal but gave no details. Recall that the U.S. suggested a prisoner swap involving a Russian arms trafficker, Victor Bout, known as the Merchants of Death, who is serving a 25-year prison sentence in the U.S. exchange for greener and former U.S. Marine Paul Welling. Still to come in the news. Ukrainian fans to watch Joshua Usyk rematch for free. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, the federal government will generate about 160.46 billion naira from excise duty on telecommunications services in 2023. According to the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), the combined revenue of operators in the GSM, fixed wired and internet service providers was 3.21 trillion naira in 2021. Recall that the federal government has disclosed a plan to implement a 5% excise duty on telecom services in the nation. This was revealed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, during a stakeholders forum on the implementation of excise duty on telecommunication services in Nigeria. Reports say if the government implements its 5% excise duty on telecom services, it will generate the stated amount or more, adding that the amount, however, assumes that the revenue of the telcos would be static. But in real terms, it could either be higher or lower, depending on economic fundamentals in 2022. Still in business, the Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority, Mohammed Bello Koko, has urged the Standard Organization of Nigeria to play active role in the export processing zones to fast-track Nigeria's export drive. Bello Koko said this in Lagos during a meeting with the Director General of STVNg, Farouk Salim. He said STVNg's technical expertise would be brought to bear through its participation in the joint cargo inspection and examination for greater efficiency and swift apprehension of suspected substandard products. The NPA boss disclosed that both organizations would be deliberate on the personnel and equipment to be utilized following the presidential approval for export processing terminals. Earlier in his remarks, Director General STVNg Malam Farouk Salim expressed regret at the dangers posed by the influx of substandard products to the concerted efforts of relevant agencies and stakeholders towards growing the nation's economy. In health, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation (BMGF) has called on relevant stakeholders to collaborate with the federal government to implement the baby-friendly initiative guidelines at the workplace by providing paid extended maternity and paternity leave. Senior Program Officer Africa BMGF, Dr. Victor Ojiero, made the call in Lagos in commemoration of the World Breastfeeding Week 2022 with the theme Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. Speaking further, Ajero said that the foundation appreciated the coming together of key actors in the private sector to advance proven family-friendly policies that benefit organizations and their employees. Still in health, the Biden administration has declared monkeypox a public health emergency with cases on the rise across the U.S. The announcement came during a briefing with the Department of Health and Human Services. The declaration follows the World Health Organization's announcement last month that monkeypox is a public health emergency of international concern. Reports say since the first U.S. monkeypox case was identified in mid-May, more than 6,600 probable or confirmed cases have been detected in the United States. Cases have been identified in every state except Montana and Wyoming.
We're going to do everything that we can to end this outbreak. That is our commitment, and that's what we're going to make sure that we do that. So, as you all know, the monkeypox outbreak has evolved rapidly and uniquely from prior outbreaks. So we are in a different, it's a different dynamic than it was the last couple times, because monkeypox has been here in this country before. And so we have aggressively responded at different stages of the outbreak. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of that context because it's spreading at different phases here. First, within 2 days of the first confirmed case of monkeypox in the U.S., we began deploying vaccine to states and jurisdictions.
In sports, Alexander Usyk, much anticipated rematch against Anthony Joshua, will be available to watch for free on August 20th to fans living in war-torn Ukraine. That's according to the Katz promoter Alex Krashuk, who said Saudi Arabian organizers gifted the TV rights to Usyk's home country as a gesture of goodwill. Meanwhile, Ukraine is still under attack from Russia, who began a military assault against their neighbors on the 24th of February 2022. Still in sports, former Manchester City striker Sergio Aguero has tipped Arsenal as dark horses to win the Premier League title. Aguero, 34, worked with Gunners boss Mikel Arteta while he was at City as Pep Guardiola's assistant and has praised the Spaniard's work at the Emirates. The goal-scoring legend believes Arteta's project is coming together, but his former club and Liverpool remain the most likely to lift the title. On our entertainment news, BB Nigeria's Angel Smith has revealed what scares her the most about marriage. The former Big Brother Nigeria reality star said the fact one has to sleep with their partner without protection, despite not knowing if their partner is cheating or not, is worrisome. She added that when it's just a relationship, one can use protection, but not so in marriages. And due to the increased level of infidelity, many faithful couples end up with STDs from cheating partners. The reality TV star made the revelation in a statement. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 12. I am Uyai Anyeken. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your day.